Hey guys, and welcome to the first rendition of the Platformer Marathon. I kind of wanted to do this more of to show kind of what started my interest in gaming in general. As a kid, I was introduced to most of these games thanks to my dad. We had the original PlayStation in the house, and right when the PS2 came out, he gave me his PlayStation. And while I don't have this little gray box anymore, and the PlayStation Classic out of the box is nothing special, unfortunately, the first few games, as far as I can remember playing, was Toy Story 2, Ape Escape, Tiny Toons, Toonenstein, Dare to Scare. Anyone remember this fever dream? Anyways, there was also Monster Rancher 2, as well as a few of the games we'll be looking at for this marathon, but my time with the PlayStation was kinda short, since the pretty new PlayStation 2 was sitting just downstairs in my childhood room. I obviously didn't play everything, so let's spend some time with the games I remember from that time, and one of my favorites as a kid was Spyro the Dragon. So while I didn't play Spyro as much as I did his marsupial friend, I did however play his first 6 games that came out for him. But I know the years were not too kind for him after he left the PS1, and while I did enjoy his 2 games for the Game Boy Advance, and the follow-up is, well, I mainly wanted to focus on his original outings. I will be giving both the original and the remakes a look for this review, but I'll mostly be showing footage from the remakes for quality purposes. So let's get this out of the way. The original Spyro the Dragon was released in the States on September 9th back in 1998, then October across the pond. Developed by Insomniac Games under the guise of Universal Studios, the game was received positively by both fans and critics alike, obviously got a remake years later. So there is love here for the little purple winged dragon, but I wonder why I got rid of these games in my library and kept other PlayStation 1 titles, way before I felt the need to fix it by getting them on the PS4. Alright, let's stop dragging any further and let's begin with Spyro the Dragon. Let's see, let's look at the manual here. Aw, man, you remember these things? Remember half the time when I wasn't playing the game itself, I would just look at these things. These were so cool to see them put so much effort into, and as a kid, I would end up doing art based off most of these when it came to things like Ape Escape or Tomba. Aw, that's cute. Sparks is telling us about the game, and oh, a demo for Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped! That was so cool. As far as I know, when it came to game demos being on other games, that only happened with Crash and Spyro, and it was done by using a cheat code. It was probably also due to the fact that these companies were right next to each other, that being Insomniac and Naughty Dog, the two became pretty close friends that we will see carry into the next-gen console. Does the Reignited trilogy still do that? Let's see. No, but apparently there's a little trailer that can be seen in the Insane trilogy, so that's a nice little nod. Guess it'd be too much to expect in this day and age. Oh right, the story. So, apparently there's unseen reporters that are interviewing the dragons of the Artesian realm, and our token villain, Gnasty Gnorc, a half-gnome, half-orc who was banished from the 5 realms due to being abrasive and sent to live in a junkyard, which he lovingly refers to as Gnasty's World. Gnasty is watching this live interview and hears one of the dragons refer to him as being simple-minded, not a threat, and is insulting his appearance, calling him ugly. Man, this dragon's openly roasting this guy, which leads to Gnasty losing his temper and unleashes a spell that turns all the dragons into crystal, as well as all the dragon's treasure being taken and some turning into Gnorc soldiers, being used to take over the dragon world. Spyro, for whatever reason, is the only dragon that doesn't get turned into crystal, and with the help of Sparks the Dragonfly, Spyro excitedly sets out to undo Gnasty Gnorc's evil deeds. That's the basic premise of the game to work on. Other than that, there is no story. Spyro goes to each of the worlds, that being the Artesians, the Peacekeepers, the Magic Crafters, Beastmakers, and the Dreamweavers, free the dragons that have been crystallized, then finally go to Gnasty's world, take him down, and the day is saved, for the most part. If you go out of your way to 100% the game, a final level is unlocked where you raid Gnasty's loot and get 120% completion, and get this extra ending with Spyro talking to the interviewers and telling them that it was an easy adventure, and that while Gnasty was a worthy adversary, that it wasn't much of a challenge. Then we see the dragons again turn to crystal, and Spyro sets off again. Which, yeah, for a first game, story isn't really needed so much. In fact, in most platformers, it's not even there. It's cool if it is, but a platformer is fun if the adventure is enjoyable. So, let's get into that. Spyro is a platformer, and being a dragon, you get to do things you'd expect a dragon to be able to do. Breathe fire and use his wings, and to agree, that is what you are doing. You can use your breath weapon to kill enemies and to break certain MacGuffins to collect gems. Going to certain fairies will result in you getting an upgraded fire breath that can break an enemy wearing metal that you would normally be able to kill with your basic breath weapon. You can use your wings to glide, as well as use them to fly in these flight sections, which makes sense. What fun is a platformer if you can just fly over platforms? It's usually something you don't see until like the end or something along those lines. Or if your character can fly, it's extremely limited, and with the exception of the final world, the same rings true for Spyro. You can also charge at enemies and ram them with your horns. There's also a section where charging down on these arrows will result in Spyro running faster and being able to break through certain sections, or allow for some interesting platforming sections that has Spyro making long jumps or breaking through platforms. So Spyro is capable, but if Spyro gets hit or falls into a hazard, with resulting in him taking damage, Spark is your representation of your health. If Spark is yellow, Spyro is at full health. When Spyro takes damage, then Sparks will change color. Blue, Spyro gets hit 2 more times. Green, hit 1 more time. If Spyro gets hit again, then Sparks is gone now. If Spyro hits these meek animals, butterflies will come out and Sparks can regain his health or bring Sparks back. Which, besides having more health, you want him back. He can collect gems that are nearby without you having to physically walk over them. And exclusive to the remake, if you press down on the right analog stick, Sparks will lock on nearby gems to give you a hint as to where gems are located, which are needed to unlock the final level. Besides the dragons and the gems, other collectibles include these Dragon Age, which are being held by these little thieves that taunt you until you run them over or flambe them. Certain enemies in the games can only be taken out by charging at them, usually one wearing armor or need to be taken out with your breath weapon, or an upgraded version of either. One of the things I was actually wondering when I went back to play this game was why after Spyro saves a handful of the dragons, did they not go after Nasty? Like, Spyro's a young dragon, he's not an adult. He is saving the adults, but they just go, "Oh, thanks for saving me," or "Hey Spyro, you're great." Then some try to say, "Oh, if you're gonna do this, then you need to be stronger than you are now." How dare you question me? I don't see you doing this. But once you make it to Nasty's world, you find that some that you rescued actually tried to take down Nasty and they got crystallized again. So at least these guys tried. The main differences between the remake and the original, besides the game just looking really nice, is that the map option from the third game was added to all 3 titles, as well as Spark's ability to find gems was also added. There's also a multitude of cheat codes that can be used to change Spyro's color scheme, changing him to his retro model, or to give him shades. These are nice little extra things, cosmetic-wise. Apparently in a 2019 update, they added subtitles to the game, which is nice. I know I have a hard time hearing at times, or sometimes the voice actor isn't clear with what they say, so it's nice to be able to understand what they are saying. Another nice graphical overhaul was they added clothing to the dragon, which is cool and gives each of the dragons a little more personality. It was a nice detail that they chose to put in for the Reignited trilogy. The control is pretty one-to-one, except during the flight segments. I know the original could be played with a D-pad, which I never had to do. I started on the PS1 with a DualShock controller. Anyone who's seen my Ape Escape reviews knows that. That was one of the first games that I played on this gray box and learned how to use it. So now in a day and age where everyone has an analog stick, that issue is irrelevant. By the way, I never really liked these flight segments. Granted, they add a much needed challenge to this game, but I skipped all of them until the very end of the game because all they do is increase your gem count amount. So, Spyro 1, how does it hold up after all these years? It was a very nice classic to revisit, and while very easy adventure to start with when it comes to platformers, with the added trophies mostly relate to the secret points, which I remember more so for Insomniac's next platformer, but we will get there soon. So I can definitely see why this game was brought back, and I am interested to see where the adventure goes from here, but before we do that, I need to go see the other unofficial PlayStation mascot of a little orange marsupial Crash Bandicoot. So, hey, you made it to the end, so maybe you liked the video, or if not, tell me in the comment section below, and go ahead and make sure you tap that subscribe button and smack that bell to know when the next video will be out. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again real soon.